Hi guys, welcome back to Mediverse Atlas. In today's video, we are going to talk about the structure of skeletal muscle. So, we know that skeletal muscle is a voluntary muscle and it is responsible for the body movements, and the skeletal muscle is composed of multiple structural units. Now, we will go into the details. Now, when we look at the gross structure of a skeletal muscle, we find that a muscle is connected to a bone with the help of a tendon, right? Now, this whole muscle is covered by a connective tissue called as epimysium. Okay, it is called as epimysium, and in the muscle we have something called as muscle bundles. Like when we look at the cross section, we find some bundles. These bundles are known as muscle bundles. The things which I am highlighting here are muscle bundles, and these are covered by the perimysium. Okay, and inside the muscle bundle we have a muscle cell or a muscle fiber. So this muscle cell or a muscle fiber, these are covered by endomysium. Okay, so I hope you guys are clear with epimysium, perimysium and endomysium. So epimysium is the thing which covers the whole muscle, whereas perimysium is the thing which covers the muscle bundles, and the endomysium is the thing which covers the each muscle cell or each muscle fiber. Now let us talk about this muscle fiber in detail. Okay, now this muscle fiber, it is long, cylindrical and multinucleated. So when we look at the histology of a skeletal muscle, we find that a skeletal muscle has its nucleus at periphery and the nucleus is elongated, right? So the plasma membrane which is present in the muscle cell, it is called as the sarcolemma. Similarly, the cytoplasm which is present inside the muscle cell, it is known as sarcoplasm. Okay, the plasma membrane of muscle cell, it is known as sarcolemma. The cytoplasm of muscle cell, it is known as sarcoplasm. Now this sarcoplasm, it contains some different things. So those are nothing but nuclei, myofibrils, the Golgi apparatus, the mitochondria, sarcoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes and glycogen droplets. Now we have to talk about these myofibrils in detail. Okay, so knowing about these myofibrils is very important, because myofibrils are the things which causes the contraction in skeletal muscle. Okay guys, please do watch the video till the end and stay focused. Now let us talk about these myofibrils. So these myofibrils, they are cylindrical structures, and these myofibrils give this striated appearance to a muscle like this. You can see here, this thing has a striated appearance like this. So this striated appearance is because of the myofibrils, and these myofibrils are present in an alternating dark and light bands. Okay, so if suppose here we have a dark band, here will be have light band, here dark, here light, here dark, here light. So this pattern of arrangement gives us this striated appearance. Now what are these dark and light bands? We'll look at them. So these dark bands are called as A bands. Okay, A bands, the anisotropic bands, and they contains myosin filaments, and these myosin filaments are thin filaments. And the light bands are I bands, they contain the actin filaments, those are thick filaments. So to summarize, the dark bands are A bands which contain myosin filaments which are thin, whereas the light bands are I bands which contains the actin filaments which are thick. So these dark and light bands are arranged alternatively in a muscle fiber which give the striated appearance. Okay, now we need to talk about a very important structure which is present in the muscle fiber called as the sarcomere. So the sarcomere is a SAQ for you guys, it is very important. Okay, so now what is the sarcomere? So the sarcomere is a segment of myofibril between the two Z lines. Now what is this Z line? We'll talk about it, don't worry. So myofibril is a segment between the two Z lines, and it is the basic contractile unit of skeletal muscle. Okay, so here we can see we can appreciate the Z line in this diagram. So this is the Z line. So what is the function of this Z line? So this Z line contains a protein called as alpha actin. Okay, so this Z line, it helps, this alpha actin, it helps in the anchoring of this I bands. So this alpha actin is present in Z line, and these I bands are anchored to Z line like this. Okay, like this. So the space between the two Z lines is called a sarcomere. Okay, I hope you guys are clear with Z lines. Now we'll talk about this I bands. Okay, these I bands. So these I bands are present on either side of Z line and contains only actin filaments, that is thin filaments. Okay, so I bands contain the actin filaments which are thin. Now next we'll talk about the A band, anisotropic band. So these A bands are present in the center of the sarcomere and they contains only myosin filaments. I bands contain only the what bands? The thin bands, whereas A bands contains thick filaments, that is the myosin filaments. So this is the A band. Here you can see here they contain only the A bands. Okay, now what is the head zone? So head zone is present in the center of A band and it contains only thick filaments. You can see, so this the whole thing here, this is the A band which contains the actin filaments, myosin filaments, and this head zone is the region in the center of A band which only contains the thick band. Okay, in the A band you can find the thick filaments as well as thin filaments, small fragments of thin filaments. See, I'll show it to you again with a different color so that you don't get confused. Okay, see, this also will confuse you guys. Wait. Okay, see, this is the A band. In the A band we have thick filaments, that is the myosin filaments. Along with this we have a portion of I band also. Okay, like this. So this is the A band, but in head zone is present in the center of A band, but it contains only the myosin filaments, that is the thick filaments. So this is the head zone, and in the center of head zone we have something called as M line. So in the M line, it is present in the center of the head zone. I have written here also, see, M line, it is present in the center of head zone. It contains protein myosin. This is important point, we'll highlight it. So this contains a protein called as myosin. Which one? The M line contains myosin, and this myosin helps in the anchoring of these thick filaments together. Okay, so this is the M line which contains myosin, which helps in holding of this thick filaments. I hope you guys are clear. I'll just give a small overview again. Z line, between two Z lines we have sarcomere, we have I bands which contains the thin filaments, we have A band which contains thin filaments as well as thick filaments, and head zone which only has the A bands, and M line which contains protein myosin which helps in anchoring of the thick filaments together. Now from the starting we are talking about thin filaments, thick filaments, right? We'll talk in detail. So these thin filaments are composed of the three things. Okay, they are composed of actin, tropomyosin and troponin. Okay, so these actin molecules are formed by small molecules called as G-actin. So G-actin, so suppose this is the G-actin, these many G-actins get polymerized together to form an F-actin. Okay, so a single G-actin gets polymerized to form an F-actin. So this F-actin is nothing but the actin filament. Okay, and what we talked, that these thin filaments are composed of actin, the tropomyosin and troponin, right? So actin is the polymerized form of G-actin, that is F-actin. G-actin gets polymerized to form F-actin, which is nothing but the actin. Next, tropomyosin. This tropomyosin, it covers all the active sites of F-actin. See, suppose in the formation of this the actin, the G-actin gets polymerized to form F-actin, right? So on F-actin we have some active sites. So these are the active sites. These active sites are the sites where ATP binds in the muscle contraction. We'll talk about it later. So just remember, F-actin has active sites on them. So these active sites must remain in closed state, okay? Otherwise contraction takes place. So to cover these active sites, we have tropomyosin. You can look here, this tropomyosin is distributed like this on the active sites of the F-actin. And at the regular intervals of the tropomyosin, we have troponins distributed like this, okay? And these troponins are again three types: troponin T, troponin C, and troponin I. Troponin T helps us in the anchoring of the troponin with the help of tropomyosin. Okay, the troponin T helps in the attachment of tropomyosin to troponin, whereas troponin C helps in the attachment of calcium during muscle contraction. Okay, and also we have troponin I, which helps us in the formation of actin myosin complex, which we'll study later. Okay, I hope you guys are clear about the actin, tropomyosin, and troponin. If you have any doubts, please do comment in the comment section. Now we'll talk about the thick filaments. These thick filaments are composed of myosin molecules. So these thick filaments are composed of myosin molecules, and each myosin molecules had head and tail. So there are two globular heads present in a myosin molecule. Okay, and these heads has an ATPase activity. Remember, myosin has two globular heads and tail. And when we look at the antibody molecule, we find the heavy chains and light chains, right? Here also in the myosin molecule, we have two heavy chains as well as four light chains. No need to go in detail, just remember we have two heavy chains and four light chains, and the head is formed by both heavy chains as well as light chains. I'll just note it down. So the head of this myosin molecule is formed by both heavy chains and light chains, whereas the tail portion of this myosin molecule is formed by heavy chains only. Okay, I hope you guys are clear about this topic. And in the head we have two sides of attachment. You can appreciate this thing in this diagram. You can see with the pink color one as well as the black color one. So this is the myosin head, which has two sides of attachment. So at the one side, at this pink color side, ATP gets attached, whereas at this black color side, actin gets attached. I hope you guys are clear about the thick filament also. I'll just revise in roughly. It has head and tail. It has two globular heads which has attachment sites for ATP as well as actin, and head is formed by the heavy and light chains, and the tail, it is formed by heavy chains only. Okay, I hope you guys are clear. If you have any doubts, please do comment in the comment section. So this is the the structure of a skeletal muscle. Sarcomere is important. It's a 5 marks question. Please do learn it, remember it, and revise it. And please do subscribe, like, share, and do follow our Instagram and Telegram channels. If you have any doubts, you can directly DM us on Instagram also. And thank you for watching. Goodbye. Have a nice day.